As we age and look back at our favorite players throughout the years, we sometimes realize that they may not have been as good as we remember them to be.
Eli Manning will get into the Hall of Fame. I also don't believe he was a very good quarterback.
Now I know that some of the players on this list will upset certain fans, but hey, reality is that these players are just not as good as fans think they are. Joe Namath, New York Jets, Los Angeles Rams. Hey, if we're gonna anger some people with the selections for this list, we may as well start right away. His career win-loss record was 62, 63, and 4, and he only had a winning record in 5 of his 13 seasons. Namath's 27,663 career passing yards, 72nd all-time, 173 touchdowns, 103rd all-time, and 220 interceptions, 20th all-time, are just simply not the numbers of an all-time great quarterback. To those that argue for Broadway Joe's greatness, yeah, I get it. Not only was he responsible for the most important victory in professional football history, but he also guaranteed the victory before the game. The Jets' victory over the Baltimore Colts in Super Bowl III set the stage for the behemoth that the NFL has become. Namath was even named the MVP of that Super Bowl despite only completing 17 of 28 passes for 206 yards and 0 touchdowns. He was flashy, he was a celebrity, and a cultural icon. And playing in the New York market certainly shaped his legend. But, I mean, Joe Namath just won one very important game. The rest of his numbers, they just don't really match his status as an all-time great. Frank Gore, San Francisco 49ers, Indianapolis Colts, Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills, and New York Jets. Frank Gore is an interesting case. His 16,000 rushing yards might rank him 3rd all-time, but he is 18th with 81 career rushing touchdowns. Gore did have 9 seasons where he rushed for over 1,000 yards, but he never led the league in rushing yards and/or touchdowns. The running back was named to 5 Pro Bowls, including 3 straight from 2011 to 2013. But he never won any major award. In fact, Gore never finished any year in the top 10 voting for MVP. He was a very good running back. But those who argue that he was a product of his longevity really do make a good point. Bob Greasy, Miami Dolphins. If someone told you that you could have a 14-year career as an NFL quarterback in which you'd be a first-round draft pick, named to 8 Pro Bowls, be a 2-time All-Pro, a 2-time Super Bowl champ, and a Hall of Fame inductee, would you take it? Yeah, you probably would. But if you're Bob Greasy, well, you still wouldn't be among the game's greats. Kind of like Joe Namath before him, Greasy was a good quarterback, but not exactly a great one. Over his 14 years in the league, the Dolphins quarterback never led the league in any of the following categories: completions, attempts, or passing yards. His 192 career touchdown passes and 172 career interceptions show that he was just as likely to turn the ball over as he was to throw a touchdown. The bottom line is that the Dolphins didn't lose because of Greasy, but they didn't exactly win because of him either. Terry Bradshaw, Pittsburgh Steelers. Winning 4 Super Bowls certainly carries some cash and earns a player a certain level of respect. When you add in 2 Super Bowl MVP awards, that level of respect definitely increases. But you know, Bradshaw was definitely more a product of being on a dynasty than any individual ability. 5 members of that stifling defense have since been enshrined in the Hall of Fame. However, a simple look at Bradshaw's numbers show that he was not exactly elite. His 27,989 passing yards rank 69th all-time, and his ratio of 212 touchdowns to 210 interceptions support that argument. Winning 4 Super Bowls and being on TV every week as one of the game's leading analysts certainly helped boost one's status in the eyes of fans. And that was most definitely the case when it comes to the Steelers legend. If you asked football experts to rank the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Terry Bradshaw probably wouldn't make the top 10. Gale Sayers, Chicago Bears. Now, we're not saying that Sayers wasn't a great back. Just saying that he's another on the overrated pile. I mean, a quick glance at his resume will show you a Hall of Fame player who was a 5-time All-Pro, had 4 Pro Bowl selections, and several other honors. Others will point out that before injuries, Sayers was an incredible running back. But therein lies one of the issues with an overlook of his career. In his 7 years in the NFL, Sayers only played a full season 4 times, and his final 2 seasons combined for a total of 4 games. His career was was just too short. Maybe he was just so dominant in such a short span of time? No, not really. He amassed 4,956 yards on 991 carries in his career. He was good. He was very good. Who knows, maybe if he wasn't injured and played a little longer, we would be discussing his place as a GOAT. But he was injured, and he didn't play long enough. Lynn Swann, Pittsburgh Steelers. Swann was a key member of the Steelers' 4 Super Bowl titles in the 70s, but his place in the Hall of Fame is, well, certainly questionable. In 9 years with the Steelers, the former first-round pick out of USC's numbers don't exactly line up with his draft status. His 336 career receptions, 5,462 receiving yards, and 51 touchdowns are kind of modest by any standard. Over his career, those numbers average out to 37 receptions for 607 yards and 6 touchdowns in a season. Those are not the numbers of a top-flight receiver. Swann never topped 1,000 yards receiving in a season. His most was 880 yards, and he wasn't even the top receiver on his team. That designation went to John Stallworth. Swann was a good player who was probably deserving of his uniform being retired by the Steelers, but honestly, not much more than that, as that dude certainly wasn't on the same level that people think he was. Devin Hester, Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Seattle Seahawks, and Baltimore Ravens. Devin Hester was an NFL wide receiver for 11 years. Only problem was that he didn't really make a name for himself as a receiver. For his career, Hester had 3,311 receiving yards and 16 touchdowns. In fact, Hester didn't even catch a pass in 3 of his final 4 seasons in the league. So what the heck is all the fuss about Devin Hester? Well, quite simply, he was the best return man ever. His 14 career punt returns for touchdowns are an NFL record. But that's kind of it. He's only a one-dimensional player. Russ Grimm, Washington. Let's re-examine the career of Russ Grimm to see if he's as good as we remember. No, he's not. You see, over an 11-year career, Grimm won 3 Super Bowls with Washington, but he didn't even start in 2 of those 3 Super Bowls. After being drafted, he became a starter and was named to 4 Pro Bowls, but in reality, he wasn't a full-time starter for a large chunk of his career. He started 114 out of 140 games. That is almost 2 full seasons on the bench. Russ Grimm does not belong in the Hall of Fame, but rather the Hall of Very Good. He's also remembered far more fondly than his career would actually indicate. Eli Manning, New York Giants. If you were to take a closer look at Manning, you would see a quarterback who was very, very good, but not quite elite. Definitely not worthy of all the praise that is heaped on him. And maybe even possibly not worthy of the Hall of Fame. Now, in his favor, Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champ and a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He threw for over 57,000 career yards and had 366 touchdowns, which is 11th all time. And yet, for his entire career, he had a win-loss record of 117 and 117. Simply put, Manning was just as likely to win a game as he was to lose one. He never won a major award, he was never considered to be the best quarterback of his era, and the only statistic he ever led the league in was interceptions thrown, which he did 3 times, those being in 2007, 2010, and 2013 respectively. Eli Manning is simply another player who fans think is much better than what reality shows. Tom Brady, New England Patriots, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Alright, yeah, this is the one that I'm probably the least confident about, and also the one we're definitely gonna get the most flack about, but hear us out. Tom Brady might be the greatest draft steal of all time. He was selected by the Patriots in the 6th round. Brady currently holds the all-time career records for game started, completions, attempts, yards, touchdowns, 4th quarter comebacks, and game-winning drives. He was named to 15 Pro Bowls, won 3 AP MVP awards, was a 7-time Super Bowl champion, and a 5-time Super Bowl MVP. Brady is also a member of the Hall of Fame's All-2000s team and the All-2010s team. The accolades are innumerable, including that eventual Hall of Fame induction. Heck, there are many that believe that Tom Brady is the undisputed GOAT. And yeah, they might be right. But there is a black cloud that hangs ominously over Brady's career. The single dent in his GOAT armor. During Brady's years in New England, there were at least 3 instances that we know of where the team, the quarterback, and the coach attempted to game the system. In 2007, we had Spygate, when the Pats were caught videotaping the Jets illegally. Then we had Deflategate in 2015, which saw New England accused of intentionally deflating footballs to give Brady a better grip on the ball. Said investigation ended with Brady suspended for 4 games. Finally, in 2019, the Pats were once again caught filming the Bengals sideline during a game. Now, I'm a believer of the adage, where there's smoke, there's fire. So for me, the cheating, and I believe there was probably more, really damages Tom Brady's status as the undisputed GOAT. Because realistically, his overall success definitely was influenced by some less than ethical means, thus damaging his reputation, and maybe he wasn't quite as good as we all think. But hey, what NFL player over the years do you think has become a little overrated by the fans? Do you agree with the choices we made on our list? Who do you disagree with? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.